I've been looking through all this material on Löbner, and it's just,
Right.
well, it's pretty amazing how a brand can basically vanish for nearly 80 years and then just reappear, making such an impact. So what really makes a legacy timepiece special? I mean, especially one like this, that feels like it's literally risen from the ashes of history, carrying all these echoes of incredible achievements and just raw courage. Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the really fascinating return of Löbner, a name that used to be absolutely synonymous with precision timing. And specifically, we're unpacking their standout piece, the Löbner Steelracer Speedo Limited Edition. Our mission today really is to pull back the layers, the history, the engineering, the design, to understand not just what this watch is, but why it actually matters. What makes it unique as this tangible tribute to an era when speed records were all about daring and absolute precision. So yeah, Löbner's return is quite the story, but to really get it, we kind of have to go back, right? Back to where it all started, those pioneering Prussian workshops in the 19th century, a time when precision timing itself was basically being invented, or at least redefined.
Absolutely. And what really set Loebner apart, even back then, was this relentless pursuit of accuracy. I mean, think about it. As early as 1881, they came up with the Tertienceller.
Yeah.
Now, this was a device so advanced it could measure hundredths of a second. Imagine the ingenuity needed for that in the late 1800s.
That's incredible.
It is. And they even scaled that up. Massive clocks timing thousandths of a second. So Lumber wasn't just building instruments. They were building this incredible reputation. They became essential at racetracks, Olympic finish lines, literally recording world records as they happened.
They were the name and timing. And then silence for almost 80 years until 2023 when this brand with this just unbelievable heritage announces its return. It really does feel like a legacy reignited, doesn't it? Picking up where they left off.
It does. I mean, Loebner's return after so long, it isn't just nostalgia. It feels like a really smart move in a market that's increasingly hungry for, well, authentic heritage stories. Resurrecting a brand with this kind of specific technical legacy, it's different from, say, reviving a fashion brand. It lets them tap into a very particular narrative. Pure precision, pure speed.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the Steelracer series shows this. It's not just the Speed Arrow. You've got the Rocket Man that's the standard model, but it directly honors Fritz von Opel's rocket car. The Takemer even marks his 1928 record, 256 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
And then there's the Steelracer Ice Blue Dial, right? Inspired by the bobsleigh tracks at the 32 Lake Placid Olympics, which naturally Loebner timed.
So the whole concept, it sounds like the entire series, and especially the Speed Arrow we're focusing on, really tries to capture that spirit, that raw courage, the record-breaking speed from motorsport's golden age. But how do they actually do that? How do you distill something like raw speed into a watch without it feeling, I don't know, a bit like costume jewelry?
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. So from that series, let's zoom in on the Speed Arrow Limited Edition. That's the one that really grabs you. It takes its direct inspiration from the 1930s, specifically Rudolf Caraculla's absolutely insane 432.7 kilometer-hour run in the Mercedes W125, a record that stood for decades. And the name Speed Arrow, that's a direct nod to the legendary silver field, the Silver Arrows.
Exactly. And it's all in the details, how they translate that inspiration. Take the case, 42.5 millimeters, stainless steel, but it's micro bead blasted. That gives it this really matte, almost utilitarian finish. It's meant to echo the brushed aluminum bodywork of those original Silver Arrow racers.
All right, okay, I see that.
But it's not just industrial. They've added these subtle polished bevels, just enough to break up the look, catch the light, give it a crisp edge, the integrated lugs, the sharp lines. It all adds this architectural precision. It feels really well engineered.
And the bezel.
Right, the engraved tachymeter bezel. This is where it literally keeps history alive. If you look closely, there's a red marker precisely at Caraculla's record speed, 432.7 km/h.
That's such a cool detail.
Isn't it? And beyond looks, there's clever stuff like Loebner's patented sliding crown protector. The patent number's even engraved on it. Stops you from accidentally fiddling with the crown. A neat touch for a tool watch, plus it's water resistant to 100 meters. So it's ready for, modern life, not just sitting in a display case. It's proper German engineering historical tribute meets robust function.
Yeah, you really can almost feel the raw metal, the speed, just looking at it. But I wonder, does that super specific historical link maybe limit its appeal? Or does that actually enhance its allure for the right audience? How do they balance that niche history with trying to sell a watch today?
That's a great question. And I think Loebner really leans into the niche aspect here. For the serious watch enthusiast or the motorsport history buff, that specific homage is the appeal. It's not trying to be everything to everyone. It's designed to connect directly with people who appreciate that specific era of, well, daring and incredible precision. That specificity makes it feel more authentic, I think, not less.
Makes sense. It's definitely
Yeah.
speaking a clear language to its target audience.
Hmm.
Okay, let's dive into the watch face itself, the dial. What does that tell us about the Speed Arrow's main purpose?
Exactly. And just like those early Turton sailor, the focus is absolutely, undeniably on the chronograph. Your eye is immediately drawn to the central seconds hand, the 30-minute counter at 3 o'clock, and the 12-hour counter down at 6.
Hmm.
But here's the really clever, subtle part. The actual time telling hours and minutes is shifted off-center to a subdial up at 10 o'clock. It even has small seconds there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a design choice that basically signals this watch is primarily for recording time, not just, glancing at it. The dial itself, galvanized silver gray, perfectly matching the case finish, again evoking that raw metal of the silver arrows. And for a bit of sporty drama, the polished chrono hands have red tips. Plus, superluminova on the hour and minute hands for legibility when it's dark.
It's definitely an elegant way to prioritize the chronograph function. But just thinking practically for wearing it every day,
Yeah.
does having the main time display off-center cause any issues? Or is that a core collectors actually embrace?
For a collector, I'd say it's absolutely part of the charm, part of its unique identity. It's a design that makes a bold statement about the watch's purpose, its tool watch roots. Sure, it might take you like half a second longer to read the time if you're used to a standard layout, but it's rarely a real functional problem. It just highlights its character.
Fair enough. But okay, a watch like this, it's only as good as what's driving it, right? The movement. Tell us about the powerhouse inside.
Right, and here's where it gets really interesting for watch folks. We're talking about the caliber 6223. Now, this isn't just some generic movement they dropped in. It's an automatic column wheel chronograph developed in partnership with La Joux Perret. That's a name that signals serious quality in movement making.
The column wheel. That's significant.
Very. For enthusiasts, the column wheel often means a higher tier of traditional watchmaking. It usually gives a smoother, more satisfying feel to the chronograph pushers compared to, say, a cam-actuated chrono. This partnership shows Löbner is serious about the horology side, and then it's modified, assembled, and finally regulated in Löbner's own workshops in Pforzheim, Germany. It beats at a standard 28,800 vibrations per hour, boasts a pretty generous 60-hour power reserve. And yes, it includes Löbner's unique module for that off-center time display we were just talking about. Flip it over, and the sapphire caseback shows off the decorated movement and a custom rotor. It really underlines Löbner's dedication to both, function and finesse.
Okay, so we've got impressive internals, a really thoughtful dial and case design, but often it's those finishing touches, right? The bracelet, the overall feel. What makes this piece feel like it justifies its premium status?
The bracelet is definitely a key part of that whole experience.
Yeah.
It's also microbead blasted stainless steel, so it matches the case finish perfectly, creating this very cohesive, integrated look. But it's not just about looks. The construction feels really solid. It has a sturdy butterfly clasp with safety pushers. It contributes to both comfort on the wrist and that sort of old-school engineered robustness Löbner seems to be aiming for. It manages to feel sleek, but also substantial. It hugs the wrist well, balancing that vintage vibe with modern wearability. It feels like part of the watch, not an afterthought.
And speaking of premium, this isn't something you'll see everywhere. It's seriously limited, right? Only 50 pieces worldwide.
Exactly, 50 pieces. That kind of exclusivity naturally comes with a price tag to match. It's listed at EUR 14,800 or CHF 14,200.
Wow, okay. So the Löbner Steelracer Speed Arrow Limited Edition. It really is more than just a watch, isn't it? It feels like a tangible slice of history, precision engineering, embodying that whole era of daring speed. You almost have to wonder what those drivers felt like, hitting 432 kilometers an hour in what was basically a silver tube on wheels. Very different idea of driver assist back then.
It's incredible, yeah. To think about how mastering something so fleeting, a thousandth of a second, could lead to such a profound, lasting legacy, not just in the technology, but in that spirit of human endeavor. It kind of reminds us that often the biggest leaps forward come from pushing precision right up against seemingly impossible odds.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with a bit of a thought, doesn't it? If a watch can bring back the spirit of speed and daring from nearly a century ago, what other forgotten legacies, maybe in other fields, are just waiting out there for their moment to be reborn?